now, so I'll start speaking in 3, 2, 1. Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 3 of the Havoc Time podcast, presented by Havoc Media and PR. I am your host, British Boxing Border Control licensed MC Robert Blundell. Can I please welcome my co-host, as always, sports media specialist and soon-to-be pro boxer Chris Glover out in New York. How are you today, Christopher?
Good, thank you, Mr. Blundell. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. I'm very excited about our two guests we've got on. We're welcoming back our regular boxing trainer, manager extraordinaire, Andre Rozier. Thanks for coming on again, Andre.
You are very welcome. How are you feeling today?
I'm brilliant. How are you today?
Oh, well, listen, we're on our way to Foxwoods Casino in Connecticut. We have a boxer, Hoshabek Normatov, who is boxing tonight for a regional title, and we're coming to lend support for his effort.
That's good. What title is it he's boxing for, and what weight division is he in? For anyone who's not familiar with that guy in the UK,
he's 154 pounds, junior middleweight, and he's boxing for a WBC regional title.
Exciting stuff. Hopefully next week we'll have maybe a little update on a result for our listeners.
I'll give you one now. He wins and wins well. There you go.
And we also have a very, very special guest. We have IBF Lightweight Champion of the World, Richard Commey. Hello, Richard. Thank you very much for joining us tonight.
Thank you, too. How you doing, sir?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
Very well. Like Andre said, we're on our way to show love for my guy, for my gym mate. So that's where we are.
So it's different. How does it compare, Richard, to when you go and watch your gym mate to when you're actually in the ring yourself? What do you get more nerves with?
Yeah, these guys always show a lot of they show me love, support. So whenever they fight, I'm watching. The same way they feeling when I'm in the ring, they always want me to win. The same feeling I've got for them.
Oh, that's great. Thanks for that, Richard. You were our scheduled guest for tonight. It's a proper bonus having Andre and Chris. Chris bringing Andre to the table as well. So, to get into the meat of things, Richard, for our listeners, could we have a little bit of a background on yourself, on your upbringing, and how you got into boxing and combat sports in general from your early ages?
Yeah, as to start, I was born and bred in Bochum, the suburb in Accra, and as a young guy, the only sport that we're very good at, we do most as a little kid growing up is football, soccer, and boxing. So
yeah,
I'm very good at soccer, and boxing has never been my thing. But because we like to fight on the streets, as a guy, when there's a misunderstanding between you peers, all you gotta do is to fight to win your respect. So.
So yeah. How old was you when you started getting in fights in them sort of scenarios?
Yeah, as early as let's say 10 years. Yeah, we fight on the streets anytime we play football, and there's a fight we fight. Nobody breaks out. We fight and then we fight. You understand?
Yeah.
So now we hand our respect as peers working together or as peers. So and then growing up, I started doing Shotokan because we like to fight. And when we fight, nobody try to separate us. They leave us to fight. So you got to learn how to do something. So I started with Shotokan, and then, I became very good. And then kickboxing came to Ghana somewhere around, let's say, 2004. So 2003, 2004, yeah. But I was smallish. I was very small. So I thought, I wanna try my hands and maybe I can do it because I love it, And then,
how many kickboxing contests did you have officially?
Well, I've had more than 5 fights and won all. Yeah.
Really? Yeah. So when did you make the transaction from the kickboxing into boxing? How did that come about?
Yeah, actually, I went to UAE with my kickboxing coach, and I met my friend Amon, and he saw me like he's always in the gym because I trained him and I trained myself. It was like, Richie, I see you, and I feel if you boss, you'll be very good and you will go far. So he kept telling me, and I said, okay, then if it is, let me go home and try. So I left UAE. I was there 2 years, and I left, and I came to Ghana in 2009. So I said, okay, if that's the case, let me wait early in the year in 2010 so I can start boxing. So I started boxing early 2010. That was January 2010.
So, and how many amateur fights did you have?
About 15.
15, and what sort of record did you have as an amateur?
Yeah, I was first when I started. I lost my first fight, and then I lost my first fight, and then went on and win again, and then became the Greater Accra champ #1.
So it shows not to give up if it doesn't start out so well for you. A question we do have, Richard, whenever we have an African fighter or a Ghanaian fighter who comes over to the UK, whenever we do a bit of research on the records, it always appears that they box in the prison's canteen in Accra, where I can see you had a couple of fights there yourself at the very start of your career. Out of curiosity, is that an actual prison canteen?
Yeah, actually, it was a year where the prisoners that's where they train the volleyball team from the prison officers. That's where they train. So it's very a very big place. So normally that's where they mount the ring, and then both amateurs and professional they have boxing shows there. Because the stadium you got to pay a lot of money before you have shows there. So I think it's due to there's no those hosting or the promoter don't have money, so they have to go to that yard, and because that place is for free, so they normally use that place.
Really?
It's always because when you fight, you have everyone, all your people coming together, and they there to cheer you on. So it's always been great, even though that place is not it's not the actual boxing arena, but people remember that place. That there's a lot of fights that's being held there, which great fights, And,
I mean, sorry.
Say it again.
I was just going to say I was always curious about that. Whenever a Ghanaian fighter, when we do research on them, it does always appear that that's where they have, the bulk of the fights when they do boxing, Ghana. Just talking through a few of them early fights, Richard, I can see you had 11 in Ghana before you headed over here, won them all by knockout.
Right.
What was your training setup like in Ghana?
Yeah, we don't really have a lot of equipment and all that, but we train hard. We train hard and raw. That's how we train hard and raw. And, I train every day. So, I train hard.
Not much has changed since, I think a lot of it comes down to models, ethics, hard work, and how people are brought up. One thing that made me laugh before, Rob, was how he said, how Richard said about growing up and they'd start fighting over football. I'm like, are you sure you weren't brought up in Liverpool?
Yeah.
It sounds a bit like our upbringing.
I know.
It
was probably different to ours, Chris.
I know, yeah, but there were similarities that we'd have a fight over a game of football.
Yeah. One question I did want to ask, Richard, obviously you're very well known for your massive punch and power. That's I know you're a great boxer as well, that goes without saying, but everyone I speak to about you, or when Chris has mentioned when he's trained with you, and Andre said last week to us on the podcast about your power, was that a strength you had in your kickboxing? Because I can see to go 11, your first 11 fights, I know it continued on, but your first 11 before you come over to the UK, were they all knockouts, or were people quitting on you because you were hitting too hard? I mean, were you always blessed with this power from when you started?
Yeah, I feel this is a natural thing that God gave me, but I didn't realize until I started training with Andre, because even though I've got I train hard back home in Ghana, and even when I was in the UK, I always train because I'm always going to the ring. I'm always scared this guy is coming to kill me. So that's the mentality I've had in my head since I started boxing. So I want to always go into the ring, make sure I'm ready. So, and then going there, I just want to give my all. So it happens that trying to give my all then turn out to be a knockout. But I really recognize and I really get to know that I've got power since I started training with Andre.
Really?
Rich, do you think since you trained with Uncle today, do you think that you're hitting harder?
Yeah, I'm hitting harder because the way we train, the system the stuff that I go through, preparing myself, makes me realize that and make me hit harder compared to when I was in Ghana and when I was in the UK.
Yeah.
just moving on to that. I know me and Chris both being lads over from the UK. How is it you found your way over to boxing the York Hall? I know you had a fight with a guy called Simas Valanciunas, who I don't know a lot about. But
I was always very excited because I know York Hall is also the mecca of boxing in the UK. So when Mick told me about York Hall and all that, and I was very, very happy, and I always wanna go there because like you said earlier, normally when Ghanaian boxers come to the UK, it's always something different. So in my mind, I wanted to put something different. So always excited, always in my mind, I want to come and put up a show there, but it was very fantastic fighting in York Hall.
I don't mean. Oh, God, Chris.
Bob, just a little story for our listeners. The first time I went to the York Hall, Rich was supposed to be topping the bill for the Commonwealth title, and the guy pulled out with a visa issue or something on the day, and Leon McKenzie ended up topping the bill in a 6th rounder, and it was like, it wasn't the best fight I've ever seen, put it that way. No disrespect to the competitors, but that was when I first become aware of Richard, through Steve Goodwin. Steve Goodwin put on those shows at the York Hall, and he's a really, really good fella in boxing. And Steve, along with obviously Richard's manager, Mick, they were, from that's who made me aware of Richard, and that's going back nearly 6 years ago now.
What I was going to say, Richard, a couple of the names you boxed in York Hall, your Chris Hughes, your Paul Truscott, your Gary Bucklands. Now, I know you've gone on to box guys at a much higher level now since you've become a world champion and fighting for world titles, but they're really respected guys on the British boxing scene. People, Truscott and Hughes are tough fellas, and you stopped them, and, Buckland, there was a former British champion.
Right.
And you schooled him basically 12-round point decision. I think that was the first time you went 12 rounds. Can you tell us a little bit about the British lads that you actually boxed and what your memories of them are?
I'm sorry. I'm going to translate now for you, Bob. You're supposed to be the MC and I'm doing the translating. Yeah. So he said, can you ask it? Do you know the British fighters that you boxed, i.e., so like Gary Buckland, talk about the Gary Buckland fight, Paul Truscott, Chris Hughes. Yeah, I know Chris Hughes. By the way, who let Chris Hughes in with you? They should never have done that. Yeah. Chris Hughes only let.
Coming from Ghana and having the knowledge about Ghanaian boys, they always going to the UK and they always get, I respect them because some of them are very good fighters and I see them as a level above me before I fight them. And I was always like, these guys, I know they're very good, but I got to prove something to them. I'm going there. If they cannot kill me, then definitely I'm winning. That's what I've got in my head and. But then, I trained so hard. So, we my coach then, Carluco, we came up with a game plan and it's always worked with me. And then, God gave us the victory. Yeah. But I know definitely I train harder than them, especially when I fought Trasco. I know he's a tough kid, but I always come forward and I prepare very much for him. I like to attack. So I know he's kind of a guy. He always be there for me and, I did what I had to but yeah, they give me, they made me realize that I can become a world champion if I keep working hard.
Yeah, after then, you seem to have a couple of fights around the world, basically a couple in Switzerland, one in South Africa, one over in Vegas, Germany, Switzerland again. Can I ask about how that sort of come about where you boxed all over the world? Was that just opportunities that were presented to you, or was it something you wanted to do?
No, that was the opportunity that came my way. And, as a boxer, you got to be ready to fight anywhere, because this is what you want to do. And, I take the chance because I feel like I can be, if I've been able to walk through the likes of Gary Buckland and, Paul Trasco, by then, going to South Africa, I know definitely, definitely I'm going there for a win.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Rob, just to jump back to the British fighters.
Yeah.
One thing that Richard, and I want Richard to, after I say this, to talk about the importance for some of maybe the younger listeners on this guy lives the life. Don't drink, don't smoke. He's a God-fearing human being. He's he epitomizes what it is to be a professional athlete. And as we, some of our listeners may know, I've not been the greatest, I've not had the greatest lifestyles in the past, but I've learned a lot from Richard. That's one thing that, compared to some of the British fighters he boxed, I know, British fighters don't live that lifestyle. So one thing that I'd like Richard to tell you is, how important is it for a fighter coming up, working hard, who, struggling to get opportunities? How important is it for them to be, to continue to sacrifice, not give up, and to make sure that they are disciplined with their lifestyle?
Yeah, like we said, it is very important as a up and coming young guys to stay away from certain things, and that helps you get in shape pretty quick. Because if you abuse your body and your body, you take a long period of time before you get back in shape. And when they are building up or you're coming up, fights come just like that, and you won't have the time to prepare if you always abuse your body by drinking and partying and doing all sort of things. That's not gonna help in your career, So if you know that and you're aware of these things could happen, all you gotta do is the little time you have, you just have to train. Keep training and stay away with all this, and then when you are called upon, when any opportunity bring himself, you'll be ready.
Do you know these opportunities sort of between boxing in York Hall and before the time you box for a world title for the first time, which we will move on to, the fights in Switzerland, South Africa, America, Germany, whatnot?
Yeah.
When you said you were constantly training, so were these late notice fights, you weren't getting full camps for them? Were these sort of a phone call and a couple of weeks notice, were they?
Yeah, I think I've had like a month. I've had a month notice before, and I'm like I train like all year round. So I said, okay, I'm good. I've been training, so 1 month is all right. I can do it. You understand? So it is very important that you always train, because there are certain opportunities you got to grab it. You don't wanna, because once you slip away, there's no way you're gonna get it again. So it is very important to always being on the right track. And then you never know what might happen.
Okay,
when it comes, you should be ready.
Yeah.
If it's okay with, go on, Chris.
That's one thing that I've learned, from Richard. Like, firstly, when he said about abusing your body, look, everyone knows. Like, when I come to the gym last year, I was something like 180 pounds. I'm around, on my weight now is just over 130, and it took me. I'm 26 now. It took me 8 months of having to train and follow this example to get my body back, back to where it should have been, because that's just really summing up the importance of what Richard's saying. And Richard comes back to the gym and he's sharper than a lot of the fighters in the gym. When he's not been, even when he's not got a fight day, he's still sharp. And that's something that really people should really take note of. And I know I've tried my best to follow that example. And obviously there's levels to this game, and I'm certainly not on the level of Rich, but it's great to still try and take that example. And that's what being a role model is about for a lot of fighters. And being a role model to kids in Ghana. And Rich, that's something that I assume you don't set out to do, but you are becoming a role model to the kids of Ghana. How important is that for you? To set in a world where people see what they they try and be like what they see on social media, on Instagram, which isn't real. That's not real life. What you've done is real life. You come from nothing. You come from a fishing village.
And even not many people from there, when I started boxing, believe in what I've done. And I started very late, and because I was so disciplined, I wanted to get far. I wanted to get to the top. So I put everything aside, and just focus, train, and always be humble, always be respectful, So, and I thank God that, he brought these great people around me, like the likes of Uncle Dre and Michael, my manager, and, Kate, and all these people, And, I just thank God, I live their life and God opens door, because God knows, this is what I need.
Yeah, I was going to say, Richard, at the start of the call, you said you think it's important to, because you're going to support your gym mate and teammate tonight, to watch him box. When Chris comes out there saying he looks at you as an inspiration when he's training in the gym, is that part of being a team as well, not just supporting them by attending the fight, but by performing in the gym and inspiring your you know, your stable mates to
it's part
reach
of
your
the
level.
Crew. Yeah, it's part of the crew. That's how we do it, you know. When any fighter is fighting, you know, it's always good to be there. You know, we always there in the gym supporting each other. This is the real thing, you know.
Pushing each other as
That's
well.
right.
Yeah,
so it's very important, you know, to be there, you know, to show the love and the support.
Rich, you know when you were coming up, like, you know, the area of Ghana, you know, Bukom,
Yeah.
it's they fish and they
Right.
fight.
That's right.
That's what they do.
Exactly.
And you know, some of the great fighters, you know, Azuma Nelson, Joshua Clottey, you know, Iquarty, they all come from your area. So, could you please tell the listeners about, you know, what inspiration they have been to you in your life, you know, following in the footsteps of like Azuma Nelson?
Yeah, very important. I see they come from the same area that I've come from, and they come from, like, they don't come from anywhere, and they come from right from there. So if I'm coming from the same area and they've done it, then definitely I know for sure. If I work so hard, if I work hard, I can definitely do it.
Yeah.
So that's the inspiration I got from it, because knowing that they come from there and they've done it, then definitely I come from the same place. If I work hard, then definitely I'm gonna make it.
Brilliant.
I was just gonna say, when we spoke about your earlier career, I mean, obviously you'd gone forward, knocking a lot of people out, went the distance a couple of times, and then you come up for your first world title fight against Robert Easter Jr. I know when we had Andre on a couple of weeks back, he stated about he'd seen that fight, and that was, you know, when he first got to realise how good you were at fighting. Obviously you dropped Easter in that fight, showing your power. Razor thin decision. A lot of people thought you won it. Could you just talk us through that experience of going to America and fighting for the world title that first time, and what you learned from it, and what progressed you from that first defeat?
Yeah, I know for sure going to that fight. I know going to the hometown of Robert Easter and, you know, fighting on their show. You know, I knew it's gonna be tough. I knew it's gonna take a lot for me to win that fight. But, you know, I was like, yeah, I gotta prove to everyone that, yeah, you know, I'm someone. You know, and yeah, I went in there. But, you know, during the fight, when Robert even do something small, you heard the crowd screaming as if, you know, understand, it gets, you know, I feel it in my legs. You know. It's crazy. And yeah, I mean, that's something that I've learned from always, you know. Like, I feel like I'm a strong character, because regardless of what, like, nobody knows me there, and everyone is just against me in terms of the fans. A lot of people that doesn't know me, but I was able to, you know, do what I had to do, because I don't really look at them. I don't, you know, I was there to rather tend these people, you know, to be my fans, not against me. You understand what I mean? And I did what I had to do. And I know that time wasn't my time. So, you know, even though I did my best, but it wasn't my time. So I take it as it is. And, you know, his family and his coach were like, Richie, you are a world champion. If you keep doing what you're doing, definitely you're going to win a world title in the future.
Did you feel like you belonged at that level once you knew you'd had that fight? Did you know yourself that?
Yeah, I realized I belonged there, but also, you know, there are certain flaws that I shouldn't have done, which I did, you know, and I was very glad to, you know, to finally meet Andre in 2017, because, you know, I knew that definitely if I had to maintain in that level, then I got to get someone like, you know, a coach like Andre, you know, so I was very, very glad that, you know, I finally met up with him, and, you know, and then brought the potential, the real potential in me.
Rich, you know? before we get on to obviously the link up with Andre, a lot going through your career, even when you were at Commonwealth title level, there was a lot of people ducking you.
Yeah.
I remember a certain fighter who I won't name, who, you know, pulling out with a fake hand injury against you, and I won't name him, but me and Bob know who it was. You know, but there was a lot.
I wanted to fight Matthews when he was champion. I wanted to fight someone like Lukamba, but he didn't really fight me, and so.
But did that get you down, or did you just not? Did it not bother you?
It doesn't really, because things happen in boxing. So, you know, it happened, and I have to take it the way it is. You know, I don't have to let it worry me, but just keep doing what because I know definitely, you know, I'll get a chance, I'll get an opportunity. Yeah. So I didn't really let it bother me.
And obviously, after the, just moving on to where we were at with you link up with Uncle today, I don't really need to ask many questions about that. I think just talk about what today is, what today's done for you, what today is to you, and then I'm gonna bring in Uncle Dre after that, and we're gonna say what Richard is to you.
Yeah, I think Uncle is just like my dad. Like he treats all his boxes the same. He didn't discriminate. He didn't.
No.
So and he always shows you love. He always look after the boxes as well as myself. So getting to know a person like Andre, he's willing to give all. He's willing to protect his boxes, and I love to work so hard. So it's always like, yeah, I've finally seen someone that I'm willing to die for. When he asked me to do something in the gym, I wouldn't wanna say no.
Yeah.
Because I
I
know
was
definitely.
gonna after when we had Andre on a couple of weeks ago, Andre, just if we're okay to bring you in at this point as well, you'd said after the Eastern Shafikov fight, you knew Richard could fight, and I know he had one fight back in Ghana, then moved out to America with yourselves. Can you talk us a little bit through the journey of how Richard and Andre, how you actually got together, and when did you click, and when did you know that bond was special, and it would lead you to a world title?
Yeah, I think that was 2017 when Andre met Mick, my manager, and then he phoned me back home and he said, "Oh, Richie, because after my fight 2017, I had a fight in March 2017, and I wasn't really happy with the performance. It's from Belgium.
Heidi Slimani, was it?
Yeah, Slimani, right. And Mick wasn't happy, and I wasn't happy myself either. And I went to the fight with injured hand, but I still had to fight because it was big back home in Ghana. So after the fight, I wasn't really happy, and I told Mick that really I wanted to go outside and learn something new. And God does things in mysterious ways. Mick met Andre in the UK, and they had a chat, and Mick phoned me back and said, "Richard, I've got you a new trainer." And he said, blah blah blah, and I said, "Oh, well, that's good." Then then I wouldn't want to waste time back home in Ghana. I wanna come and start something new. And then I finally came back. I came to the US June 2017, and I met Andre, and a couple of sessions with him, and I was like, "Oof, man!" When I go back home to the flat, I cry because I was like, "Man, there are certain things I should know, but I didn't know." In terms of it. So, I got pissed off with myself, and, because I was like, yeah, I had a great fight with Robert Easter, but there's certain mistake that I shouldn't have done because I was fighting at the world level. But, Uncle take his time, and then he took his time, and then he showed me what I had to do, and I started getting used to it, and then, this is where it has gotten us.
And it's not something, just to jump in there, Bob, it's not something, Andre's methods of coaching aren't something you just adapt to overnight. It takes a long time to get used to it, and especially when you've been setting your ways for 10 years, 8 years, even as little as 5 years. It's still something you have to adapt to, and that's why I personally believe, from a personal perspective, that's why I ain't boxed yet, because I'm still learning. I've still got a lot of learning to do. But from Richard's perspective, he's still learning that. Would you not say, Rich? You're still learning off Uncle Dre. It's not like you've mastered what Dre teaches us.
No,
You're still learning it, and I think that showed. And I'm going to bring Andre in here. That showed, didn't it, in the Raymundo Beltran fight? What Richard has learned, the stuff you didn't. That's evidence. I was with you in the camp, so I know the learning that took place in that camp, and you showed a lot. It's me, but you surprised a lot of people in how well you don't just fight. So Andre, what would you what your comments in regards to Richard's learning from day one to now?
Well, when I first saw Richard box against Robert Easter, I had never actually seen him box before then. And he put on such a great performance. that I couldn't do anything but say, this kid is really special. And I said it'd be nice to work with him because I saw him making some mistakes that I knew I could definitely correct. That's not even working with the attack measures that I'm usually good for. And that was it for a minute. And then, of course, we went to England where Affindale Steedy's fought
Tommy Langford
and crushed him. And Mick said, hey, listen, I'd like you to work with my fighter. So I said, who was your fighter? He said, Richard Commey. I said, the kid that fought Robert Easton? He said, yes. I said, oh, I was watching that fight, and I thought that kid did pretty good, but there's things that I could work with him on to make him a much better fighter. And lo and behold, we orchestrated a situation, and Richard was on the next thing flying to New York. And that's the way it's been ever since. He came in as a quite amiable and studious boxer looking to learn, to be a better fighter, and to become a world champion. And through our union and my tutelage, he has become a world champion. He has had 4 fights so far, and each of those fights he has ended with a knockout. So I think we're doing what we need to do to make Richard the man. And it's just going to get better and better as he learns more and more, and he arms his craft and sharpens his knife.
Yeah, definitely. Just looking through, when you look through Richard's record, obviously I think Andre's first fight under a 6-round knockout of Alejandro Luna in an IBF eliminator. Then he boxed another guy called Yardley Cruz, who was 24-10. And then the big one straight into the world title fight with Challanger. Richard, Andre, could you just talk us a little bit through that whole experience of getting the world title fight, the build up, the camp, the media obligations, being in the spotlight at that sort of level, and actually boxing for and winning a world title at the very pinnacle of the sport in one of the most competitive weight divisions there is?
Well, there were moments when we first started that we didn't think we were going to get off the ground. They wanted Richard to box in Russia, and Richard doesn't talk a lot, but when he does, look out, because you're going to get a whole earful. And he basically stated, he said, Uncle, I don't want to go back to Russia and fight. They robbed me there, and we didn't really have the network to say we had the protection from that. And I said, of course not. We're not going to. And a bunch of things went on. God is good. God is good. The whole situation fell apart. And then we had the opportunity of squaring off against Luna. And I watched Luna, and I was like, okay, I know we can beat this guy, but we have to be on point. And the first thing I told Richard about that bout was, do not find yourself on the ropes, because Richard had a habit, and I don't know why, because he's such a strong athlete, of negotiating his way onto ropes. And I hate fighters to be on ropes. I can't stand it. It's one of my biggest no-nos. And he started off well, and then here Richard was on the ropes, and I chewed him out something good. I think he even got a little slap for that one. And I said, listen, this guy is right here, and he's ready for that jab, right hand, left uppercut. I said, you go out this round, and you make sure you implement that attack. Jab, right hand, left uppercut. He said, okay, Uncle, I'm going to do it. And he went out there in that, was that the 5th round?
Yeah.
He went out in that 5th round, and as soon as he followed through, jab, right hand, left uppercut, what happened?
Went down.
Right on his butt. And then he finished him up. So I wanted Richard to understand that the components that he possessed, if he utilizes them correctly, he will never lose. As I'm honing other skills and other techniques in him, as he follows through on his attack measures and he becomes more articulate, it becomes a better and better show. And the East fight, that was just a display of pure punching power and prowess. And the Ray Beltran fight was a good experience gainer because he went after Beltran, which he's supposed to do, and he had him hurt, but then he got careless. And Beltran hit him with a couple of those hooks and made him say, wait a minute. I got to think about that a little bit. Can't just run in on Ray Beltran because, he can punch too. And he started working, putting it together. We suffered a few headbutts, which might have thrown the game off, but he stayed on course and he kept breaking them down. And now Richard was known for his big right hand, but I've been working on Richard's hook because he knows he can hit you with the right hand and get you in trouble. But he didn't realize that hook could be dangerous too. And it's still a work in progress. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
We still have work to do with it, but it's dangerous when you have dynamite in one hand and atomic bombs in another.
I was just going to say, go on, Chris.
Rich, just so what's it like to last year is, obviously I was around you for a lot of the Challanger camp and went through those emotions, and it was a bit surreal. It's still a bit of a blur. It just all happened quite quickly. The fight, because we knew you were fighting for the title, weren't we? But we didn't know who. And then it just happened really with Challanger, and it was a special night that in Texas. But like for those who aren't aware of it or haven't been around, those type of events, can you tell us about like your nerves before it, your nerves on the day, the relief after it, and then going back to Ghana after it when you had the ceremony, and people in the streets in Ghana?
I mean, I will never forget this day, But yeah, like you said earlier on, like going to the fight, I knew I've been there before, and Issa Chane hasn't been there. He hasn't fought for World Title, so I know how the feelings like. Yeah, on the day I wasn't really. The hard nervous when the contract was signed. I know I was fighting this guy, but after going through some training session with Andre and all the hard work, I knew from day one that going to when he jumped in the ring, it's not gonna take that long.
Nah.
Yeah. So I was cool. I was more relaxed because I knew I've got this.
I was going to say, with the experience you picked up.
Rob, I was going to say, but the first round, you rushed a bit. You were a bit nervous in the first round, weren't you?
I was a little bit nervous in the first round. But then when he hit me, and I felt, okay, there you go, let's go.
And then he started going on the floor a bit, didn't he? He was up and down like a yo-yo, up, down, up, down, up, down. Yeah, but
we had this game plan. Andre was like, Richie, I want you to go, just crush this guy, just attack him. Don't give him a breather, So I mean, I did what Uncle asked me to do, and then we got that win.
Do you think the experience from your former world title fight, the previous one, and the combination of what Andre was saying there about you being known for your right hand, but he's working on your hook, telling you the combination to throw in the previous fight, the IBF Eliminator, is that combination is what got you ready for that level? The combination of the previous experience and having a wise head like Andre in the corner and camp with you.
I think it's what I got from his stuff. I really don't want to experience such again, because I went in there and it goes to 12 rounds and a hard decision again. So I wouldn't want that to happen this time. And also listen to what Uncle told me to do, And I think in the first round I hit him with a left hook, and then he wobbles, and I was like, whoa, I got this kid. That's when I followed through, and then bam,
And then going back to Ghana after it,
Oh man, this is, I will never forget that day. It was big and massive. Man.
I joked about it, didn't I? I said you were like the Pope.
That's
he
right.
He was on the back. Honestly, Rich, he was on the back of this like truck. On like a seat which was raised on the back with his world title, and it was like when the Pope comes to town, and people are like in the streets and that. That's what it was like, wasn't it, Rich? It was.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it was amazing. It was great. People that turn up at the airport was amazing. you know. And if that day there was an election and I am a candidate, then definitely I'll win something, maybe a member of parliament or president. Yeah.
That's what you want in it in the future.
Yeah.
Do you want to be in parliament? Do you want to be prime minister?
Nah, I don't want to be in politics, but I'll
No
rather
politics.
be a pastor or something, like, you know.
Yeah, keep going, help the kids, and
right.
You know, because
to change lives. I want to change the life of people.
Well, you changed the life of mine, mate, without getting too deep. But you know, that's one thing I'd like you to talk about. You're deeply religious. You're a Christian person, aren't you? You know, what strength does your faith give to you in boxing, and what can people get from faith that maybe they don't realize?
You know, I believe, you know, when you ask God and you work harder, definitely whatever you want, God gives you. And, you know, and when you believe in God, there are certain things you don't do, you know, and you always become a role model for people. You know, you don't want to, you always be pure, you always be real, and it's always good because you always have inner peace. And when you have inner peace, it reflects. And wherever you go, it shines and make you, you know, it makes you a better person. And you always, affect people around you, and they also become better person. And then it goes on and goes on and goes on by helping changing the world.
Brilliant.
Yeah. One, I think we covered quite a lot of your career and, you know, your experiences that you've had, Richard. Now, before we started recording, Chris gave us, you know, a bit of a topic list to run through, and one of them that I am to ask yourself and Andre is, I do know the answer to the opponent, but what's next for yourself? Can you tell us what, when, and who?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely Teofimo Lopez. I'm looking at December 14th. So
Madison Square Garden on
right.
Top ranked Terence Crawford, Mick Conlon on the show, apparently, and possibly Carl Frampton. So it's a massive show. Yeah. So Rich, that's going to be a blockbuster pay-per-view event.
Yeah.
Is this your first pay-per-view?
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
I don't think it's pay-per-view.
That's got to be on pay-per-view.
No, it's on ESPN
Plus.
Plus, yeah.
Well, you're gonna have to get ESPN Plus, aren't you? The people have, you know, it's one way to get subscribers.
It would be better if it was on ESPN, where the world could see it.
Yeah.
That would be the best format, because now you'd have so many people have it.
Yeah.
That they'd be tuning in, and you could get massive numbers out of it. But regardless to the fact, he's still going to be ready to take care of business and defend his title in spectacular fashion.
And obviously, you know, it's safe to say, is it, Rich? You're not overlooking Teofimo Lopez at all, but you're confident.
I don't definitely overlook any of my opponents. I just want to work hard and listen to my corner and what I have to learn from you. And then I want to get in the ring to see what happens.
Yeah.
Obviously, Lopez 14-0, 11 KOs, a New York native, like, you know, where you guys are based. Now, what sort of fight are you expecting from Lopez, and, you know, what strengths do you think he has that, you know, will make this a good fight? You're gonna be quiet there, Chris.
Yeah, I haven't really have the chance to set him. Yeah, I didn't watch the last fight, but now I'm back, and we're gonna start with Fonko. We're gonna study, and we're gonna see what we have to learn from him, and, you know, what we have to do. So I haven't really had the time to really think about now. It's time to work, so I can't really say much at the moment because I haven't really studied him. Yeah.
Andre,
you have to realize one thing. You have to realize is that this is to take control over. Richard literally is the biggest puncher in the lightweight division, bar none. And Lopez has to be quite wary of punches that come from either direction, left or right, that have that KO capability. And when I say Richard has, it's up to Richard to control it. I mean, Richard needs not make any mistakes. He has to keep his defense tight. He has to be the same aggressive Richard Commey that the world is coming to love, and he has to create avenues off his jab. And after that, once again, look out. It's trouble in paradise.
Because obviously there's another big lightweight.
This weekend we've got a big clash in the UK with another pair of lightweights, Sergiy Derevyanchenko and Luke Campbell. Firstly, I want to ask everyone here now the predictions, because this is going to go out before the fight, and secondly, after the predictions, we're going to maybe discuss about a possible clash with the winner. So firstly, Uncle Andre, Derevyanchenko, Campbell, who wins and how?
Well, I have to side with Lomachenko at this moment, but by no easy means will this be a walk in the park. Luke is a big, tall,
Rangy,
very rangy, sharp shooting fighter, and Lomachenko's going to have to work his way in. Now, if Lomo has issues with getting in, it could be a long night for him, as was displayed when he fought Linares. I don't know if Campbell has the punching acronym of a Linares, but it could be difficult just keeping being kept outside and trying to work himself into the fray where he can be more strategically quicker and busy. So it's going to be a difficult situation, and I think it's going to end up being a great fight. So I'm looking forward to it.
What are you saying, Bob?
Yeah, I'm going down to London this weekend, so I'm really looking forward to getting into the O2 for that one. I love Luke Campbell. I think he's a great lad and a great fighter, but I do think I fancy Lomachenko on points. Chris, what about yourself?
Yeah, I'm the same. I think for the first 4 rounds it could be cagey for him, but this is one of the best fight. This is one of the best fighters on the planet, if not the best. I do have Terence Crawford above him in the pound for pound ratings, but he's in my top 3, alongside Naoya Inoue. But I do believe that he's, Luke's a good fighter. I think Luke's, styles make fights. I think Luke's style actually, Lomachenko isn't a bad style for Luke to fight, but I just think that when he adapts and adjusts after the first third of the fight, he'll take over in the second, third, and the last third. And I think Luke's a tough kid. He'll stick around. He won't quit. So I think it'll be, probably like a 10-2 split on, 10-2. He'll win a couple of rounds maybe, but I can see Lomachenko running away with it in the last 2/3 of the fight. And Rich, I want to ask you your prediction for that fight and a possibility of you fighting Lomachenko in the future.
Or Luke Campbell.
Or Luke Campbell, yeah. Let's not disregard Luke Campbell.
Yeah, may the best man win on the night. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
looking forward to find my title. But first I got some work to do first. So once I get that done, then I'll know.
Yeah.
Obviously, we said earlier you're not overlooking Lopez at all, Richard. We've said that from the start. But is unifying that lightweight division the ultimate goal with the other belts will be in possession of the winner of that fight?
Yeah, definitely. It's something that I'm really, looking forward to.
Being the undisputed,
right?
Champion of the lightweight. Because if hypothetically, if Lamar wins, if Richard wins, the winner fights each other. They are the undisputed champion at lightweight then.
Yeah.
So, and it's rare to see one fighter hold all the belts. That doesn't happen very often anymore. So, Rich, is that something that really excites you, holding every belt?
That's right.
Yeah. So, one thing we're going to say before we're going to close things up soon, but, Rich, you've been in camp with Sergiy Derevyanchenko. Sergey's, got a massive fight against Gennady Golovkin. It's a massive night again for Team Havoc as a whole, against Triple G. What can you tell the listeners about Sergiy?
This guy, if he punched from any angle. He punched from any angle. You know, I mean, he's a great guy, and always, you know. And I pray that whatever he does to me in the ring, he go in there and do it and win this world title because he deserves it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what we're going to do now is we're going to roll into a little interview I conducted at the media day for Triple G against Sergi Derevyanchenko with Sergiy and translator Vladamir Lik. That's going to close out this episode. So, Bob?
Yeah, I'd like to thank Andre for coming on again. Thank you very much. It is always a pleasure to speak to you.
You're quite welcome. Anytime.
Thank you very much. And Richard, it was a pleasure to speak to you for the first time. Hopefully we can maybe catch a word after your fight, if that's okay.
Yeah, cool. Definitely.
Thank you very much.
And so now what we're going to do is we're going to roll into a little interview with Sergi Derevyanchenko and his great translator, Vladamir Lik of The Ring magazine. And that will close out our episode. So I'd like to thank everyone once again for listening. And it's Havoc time. Andre, do you want to do it?
Yes, you know it. This is Havoc time, and we are in the hurt business.
Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you.